It's the Jack
and Cathy
show.
Shit show.
And there we go.
Yeah, how was
okay,
that? Did you like
I
that
think
one?
I think it. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi, babe.
How are you?
I am really good.
All
right.
So you get us started. Kick it
I'll
off.
get you started. I got
Yep.
something to
Ooh,
read to
sorry,
everybody.
I gotta turn off my phone.
Turn off your phone.
There we go.
And many will recognize this. It is literally impossible to be a woman. You are so beautiful and so smart, and it kills me that you don't think you're good enough. Like we have to always be extraordinary, but somehow we're always doing it wrong. You have to be thin, but not too thin. You can never say you want to be thin. You have to say you want to be healthy, but also you have to be thin. You have to have money, but you can't ask for money because that's crass. You have to be a boss, but you can't be mean. You have to lead, but you can't squash other people's ideas. You're supposed to love being a mother, but don't talk about your kids all the damn time. You have to be a career woman, but also be looking out for other people. You have to answer for men's bad behavior, which is insane. But if you point that out, you're accused of complaining. You're supposed to stay pretty for men, but not so pretty that you tempt them too much or that you threaten other women, because you're supposed to be part of the sisterhood. But always stand out and always be grateful, but never forget that the system is rigged. So find a way to acknowledge that, but also always be grateful. You have to never get old, never be rude, never show off, never be selfish, never fall down, never fail, never show fear, never get out of line. It's too hard. It's too contradictory. And nobody gives you a medal or says thank you. And it turns out, in fact, that not only were you doing everything wrong, but also everything is your fault. I'm just so tired of watching myself and every single other woman tie herself into knots so that people will like us. And if all of that is also true for a doll just representing women, then I don't even know. So, if
Genius.
people hardly.
By
if
the way,
people,
that's really a lot to fucking memorize for a movie.
right?
Gotta believe
I know
it
she
takes.
did a great job.
Okay.
So, for those that did not recognize it, that's from the movie Barbie.
Yes.
And Jack and I went to see it. Well, backstory. So I went with my girlfriend Jenny up in Door County to see Barbie. It was a long day, and both of us had basically our faces planted on the window, falling asleep. So we missed a great part of it. We went to a great.
Just so that was clear.
Well, yeah, that's a small detail, right? And we went to a drive-in. We had snacks. We had little cans of wine, and we had, it was all about all of that, and the movie just sort of went right over our head.
Mm-hmm.
I left the movie going, well, I didn't really laugh that much, so it must, and I probably slept through a fair amount of it, but I didn't come away with this great feeling, and then, or that the movie was that great. And then I started to listen to, you just heard it all over media, social media, regular media on television, everything, articles. They would talk about Barbie. Some of the podcasts we listened to, they talked about Barbie. And so I reached out to my girlfriend. I said, I'm pretty sure we have to see that movie again. We missed a lot.
Yeah.
And so you and I went to see it in Cedarburg, Wisconsin, which is this great little historic town. And they have a beautiful movie theater that's been renovated. And this is a sidebar story, but I love sharing the whole thing. So the Rivoli Theater, it's been renovated and run by volunteers. So they have movies that are $2 Tuesdays and regularly, $4 or $5?
Rest of the time it's $4.
Yeah, rest of the dollars is
yeah.
$4. It's just so refreshing.
Soda's $1.
Yeah. And then
Popcorn's
you
$2.
Exactly. So you can get out of there for, under $10. It's just remarkable.
We went, if I can jump in, we
Yeah.
went to see Mission Impossible there on a Tuesday.
Yeah,
if you
we
recall.
did.
And we only had a $20 bill.
Yeah.
And so we had no idea what the prices were, but we knew it was $2 Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we had popcorn, soda, candy, and 2 movie tickets. And I still, right?
And I wonder why I've gained 10 pounds since
Yeah,
I
but I
met
had
you.
$8. That's true. No, it's not true that
Candy.
you gain 8 pounds. I don't mean it that way. Wow.
10.
I didn't even mean that.
No,
I
I
meant,
know you didn't mean it that way.
But we still had $8 left over.
I know.
Which $12 for all that. What are we doing? That's great. So anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
But yeah, we obviously a lot to unpack after we saw the movie, and I just thought it was fantastic. Like, I can't believe the about face, because I really, really listened and watched, because I was in a contained theater instead of a drive-in movie, and then afterwards having discussions with you. And that speech I found so powerful.
Well, put the context of what you just read for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I mean, it's basically how it's impossible to be a woman. We have to live in these dual roles all the time.
No, I mean, frame it up for where it was in the movie and what was going on and everything like that. So, because it wasn't just a line, it was an impactful moment of the movie.
It was Barbie's worlds are colliding, her pretend Barbie world and then the real world. And when she steps into the real world, she meets the woman that used to play with her as a child. And so that real woman's character was trying to help Barbie, if you will. And Barbie was feeling terrible about herself because she's just supposed to be ordinary, or what, simple Barbie.
Yeah,
no, wait, was
traditional
that it?
Barbie.
Traditional Barbie.
Yeah.
She was traditional Barbie. And
But-
she was
but when
supposed to be all these things. And she was
when
feeling
she went into
terrible
the
about
real
herself.
world, patriarchy, misogyny, all these real world effects that you and other women encounter appeared to Barbie, and she was dumbfounded. She's like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And then all of the other Barbies, which are named Barbies after their character Barbie, were like Suntan Barbie and Beach Barbie and everything, right? And Nurse Barbie and Dr. Barbie and Lawyer Barbie were suddenly marginalized to housewives and tending to men.
Yeah.
Because they thought, after hearing about the real world, that that's the way they were supposed to be. And then Barbie's like, wait a minute, what's going on? We just lost our empowerment. So it was definitely a heavy message there.
All the Barbies were influenced by the patriarchy that is the real world.
Because Ken went with Barbie.
Because it's run by and rules are made by,
Men.
Predominantly men. And our culture is about predominantly men as leaders and decision makers, and women are, play the role of caretaker. And so, yeah, this was a speech that the actress America Ferrera gave to Barbie. And I just thought, it was absolutely moving. And there's a lot that I could relate to, that one line where you have to be thin, but not too thin. And you can never say you want to be thin. You have to say you want to be healthy, but you also have to be thin. And that was so relatable to me because, I had this crazy career in the modeling industry, and that is definitely something that was a struggle for me my entire life, is like, am I thin enough? Am I right? And that was a huge part that I had to wrestle with, and how your self-worth becomes attached to that idea. And you came out of the movie, describe to people how you felt. Like, one of the things that you said right afterwards.
Well, I don't remember.
You were like, wow, I feel pretty shitty. I feel pretty bad that I'm a dude. I feel bad that, you felt the weight of responsibility for.
It wasn't a shame feeling, right? Because I don't, I try to pride myself in being open-minded and whatever the words are to describe understanding the differences between men and women. And yet I realize, despite all of my efforts, I still get it wrong, right? Because first of all, I'm the top of the food chain. I'm a white male, right?
Yeah.
In my 50s and with some level of financial success. So,
yeah.
Right. So I rule the roost, and I, anyone listening, I walked out of it. It wasn't, I felt shame and, the other bullshit that you're hearing from some right-wing stations about.
Mm-hmm.
It's shaming women or men, and it's emasculating men. That's fucking bullshit. It's a story about women saying we're just as human as you are, and look at the shit we have to deal with. And for me, do you want me to tell the whole story of how the night started? Like
Absolutely.
What happened? Is that what you're asking me to do here? Or just
yeah,
the
at this
general,
moment, I can't remember what that is, so go ahead.
when we were waiting for popcorn, that whole shit.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Do you want that to be told?
Oh, sure, let's, because that was
It's almost,
really
it was almost
apropos for what we were going to see. It was...
So I knew nothing of the movie's context, and Cathy you just said that you had essentially fallen asleep, so you don't remember much of it either.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, man, this is so weird because everyone's loving it, and it's causing so much controversy. How does Cathy walk away from it with zero? Right? Like zero reaction.
Yeah.
You didn't react to any of those common things, right?
Right. There truly were bits that I was seeing for the first time.
Yeah.
The second time.
And so, by the way, I just noticed that you and I are both doing this to look at one another. I don't know if you noticed that. Hands on our head like this.
Yeah.
So it just was funny to me because I went, what did she miss? Like maybe I'm not getting it, or maybe whatever. And so we get to the theater, and it's a cute theater, probably holds 300 people maybe?
Yeah.
And it's packed.
It is packed.
And I wore a pink shirt in honor of it because I thought it'd be cute.
Yeah.
You didn't.
And I was a loser. I think it was a warm night.
It was a warm night for sure.
Yeah.
So, I was actually upset at you, right? Because I'm like, why aren't you wearing pink?
Because I was going to wear a pink shirt, but then I put on the wrong bra for the pink shirt. And then I got lazy. I didn't want to change the bra to put on the pink shirt. So I put on a different shirt, and I disappointed you with my laziness.
It's all good. So we get into the theater. It's all women and little girls, and there's one other guy there who's probably mid-30s, and with his kids and his wife. So
it's not a kid movie.
No, I don't understand how any kid. It is. No, save that thought, please. Mm-hmm. Somehow remember to talk about how it's not a kids movie. Because it's loaded with kids, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't see a kid movie in it at all. To me, it was a it was a societal movie.
Yeah, I think it was way too
or maybe
beyond
I'm just too
them.
deep.
Yeah.
So, you want me to tell this full story?
Mm-hmm.
So, we walk in, and it's all women and young girls, teenagers, and then adult women from mothers' ages all the way up to 70s, right? Or older. So, but I'm the only dude with another guy, which, okay, big deal. It's a Barbie movie. And again, when the movie started, I went, oh, now I get it. So I go to get in line, and the line is long as hell. Now, this place is wonderful. It's just run by volunteers, and they tend to be retired and elderly. And there were all women working behind the counter this time.
No.
Yeah, there was.
No, there was one guy.
Yeah, there was one young guy, though. That was it.
Mm-mm.
Oh, no, there was an older guy there. Mm-hmm. So he came later because he was getting ice.
There's two older women and an older gentleman.
Yeah, so the older gentleman was, remember I told you someone was getting ice?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm waiting forever?
Yeah.
That was the older guy was getting ice.
Oh.
So I didn't realize he got back behind the counter when you went up there. This will all make sense as I tell this story.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting in line, and the line is actually down the aisle of the theater because the theater is so small that it's snaking through its rope line, and then it's coming out of the rope line into the lobby and then down the aisle. And I look, and there's literally 30 people ahead of me, or 35, right? Whatever it was. There's a lot. And one woman gets up there, and she's chatting. And the next woman chats. And then it's, should we get 4 popcorns or should we get 3? And then I'm looking, and I see the lights dim and the previews start. So I go, all right, there's still 15 minutes. We got time because previews like 15 minutes. And then the next person gets up there and talks. And I've moved 1 inch in 10 minutes. And the next thing you know, the guy comes by and says, I have to close the doors because the movie's starting. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And so, like, no line was moving in 15 minutes.
You bail.
I bail, and I slouch in the chair like a grumpy, petulant
man,
10-year-old or man.
Like a grumpy, petulant man boy.
Fair. And I look at you, and I thought I said it under my breath, but
Hardly.
But the very strong shh from you, I was like, these fucking women, right? First thing I said to you.
You did.
If there were dudes here, that line would be flowing. Because a guy would have said to a little kid, you're getting Coke, you're getting this, let's go. Movie's about to start.
You were like, these women, they're all so chatty.
All they're doing
and
is
I was
fucking
like,
talking.
I was like, Jack,
She's like,
you're going to get,
Kathy, you go.
I'm going to
You're
grab you by the balls and frickin' drag you out of here.
So I'm now fuming. And then the Barbie movie starts. And this is totally.
I shut you down on that.
You did, and I was respectful though. I didn't go.
Well, I think you
up.
had a little. I think you sort of shook yourself out of it.
It
and were like,
doesn't.
oh,
Yeah, but
that's
when you
probably not so good.
Admittedly, when you or other women I'm around, and I creep toward that gross line, and women like you who I trust go, I don't. You know me. I'll stop. Those breaks go on fast.
Yep.
I think it's pertinent to the story though that I had this reaction of, oh my God. And it truly was, if there were men in line, we'd be through already. And if there were men working, it'd be done because it's fill the popcorn, fill the order, go. Very task oriented. And this was a social event in a lobby. Still agitated. So I look at you and I went, well, you've seen this movie before. So can you please get the popcorn? Because I'm not getting up and going in line. And I don't want to miss it. And so it starts and it's all corny and goofy and silly. And it really starts very cute. Like a lot of funny things happen, but very quickly, Barbie is pressed into having to go back to the real world, right? From
yes,
Barbie.
she has a real world thought all of a sudden. You know, it was Barbie wakes up in Barbie land and everything's perfect and the sun is shining and her hair is just so, and she's got a perfect outfit and she's in her great little heels and she, you know, they're dancing at the beach. There's this, it's just amazing choreography, amazing set, amazing acting. All of that is,
so there's
is in alignment.
Yeah. So where I'm going with this is you're still gone.
Yeah.
And there's a moment where Barbie kind of pushes away Ken's advances. He's like, maybe I can come over tonight. She's like, that's okay. We're having a girls' night. Right?
Yeah, I think she even said, for what?
For what? That's right.
For what?
So I all of a sudden sat there because a lot of women had a pseudo clap moment.
Yeah.
Right? And I hope you're going to agree with what I'm about to say. I am smart enough and quick enough to read that as, ooh, they liked that they cut Ken down and said, not a chance, dude. Right? There was that vibe because there were enough mature women who, when she said, for what? They all laughed. And he's like, well, I thought, she's like, no, that's okay. Turned down his advances. Right. And they all kind of did. We go, Barbie. Right. And I slinked down. You're not back yet from I told you this, right? I slinked down in my chair. I'm like, fuck. This is what it must be for a woman to be the only woman in a meeting full of men.
Right.
I said this exact. I did. Well, because of the women's reactions toward Ken.
Yeah.
If there was a mixed group there, and when I say mixed, I mean males and females. And I'm not trying to, please, I'm not doing cisgender shit right now. That's not what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm like just very traditional gender roles. If there's a balance in that room, you'd get some guys being like, no, that's my wife for sure. Right. You'd get some of that stuff, but it was all women. And I slink down in my chair to where my head's at the top of the chair, right? Because it's not those nice theaters with the couchy
the
chairs that open
seats.
up now. It's old-fashioned ones. And I slink down and I went, oh, fuck, I've got daughters and a girlfriend and a mom and a sister. And oh, boy, shit, this is what it must feel like. And now I feel like crap for being a petulant piece of shit in the lobby. And then all of a sudden the movie just takes off. And the most impactful scene for me, believe it or not, was when she gets to the real world and everyone's ogling her.
Yeah.
And real patriarchy.
And she doesn't understand it.
No, she says, why is it that I'm walking down a street on a bright day and I'm really uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Right? And Ken's going, I'm loving this.
What was the word? She was like, it was like, I'm not self-conscious,
something along the lines of like, there's all these eyes on me and I'm not aware of it or something like that. It was brilliant writing.
Yeah, it really was.
And so from that point on, And I told you when we left. So from that point on, I said, every man that I know, especially a young man, should go see this, particularly if they're dating somebody. And I'm not saying everyone feels this way, because there are some men and women who feel that Barbie should play a subservient role as a woman, right? That women should be caretakers of their men.
There are men that do believe that.
And men that believe that as well.
Objects.
I don't. And I'm not saying that for the benefit of listeners.
And that their roles are certain roles.
You and I, and then I want you to ask more questions or share what you were talking about, because I love that you're talking about this. So you and I then, we leave and I tell you stories about how I just refused to let my daughter be a cheerleader when she was younger. And please, I don't want to get into debate with anyone like writing me going, I was a cheerleader and it was a good experience. I get it. The message.
What drove you to?
I didn't want Alex
as a father to.
I wanted her to have people cheer for her.
27 years ago, have that. You wanted people to cheer for her.
I didn't want her just to root for men. I wanted her to be the one in the arena. I didn't want her to be on the sidelines cheering for men in the arena. And why is that? Because I want her to be strong. Because I think she has a place at the table as well as anybody else. And that's not gamesmanship with you. That was well before I met you.
Yeah.
Right? That's 27 years ago. I was like, there's no way my daughter's cheering for men.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't being a cheerleader. It was rooting for somebody else. She's going to be athletic. She's going to be in the arena. She's going to lead a business. And yet what's funny is my sister goes through the same things, and Alex has shared with us moments when she's had encounters. She was telling us a story right before they left for their honeymoon. Right? And, if her friends listen to this, I think it's okay to tell this story that Alex is trying to talk about Hard Knocks, which is a football show on HBO.
Yeah.
And her and I talk about it all the time. What do you think of the coach? And she's like, I never played football, Dad, but you did. What do you like about it?
She's the one that turned you on to the show.
She told me to watch it.
She's the one that saw it first. Yeah.
And so I don't view it as a misogynist because she doesn't play football. The fuck does she know? This is a D1 athlete that played for University of Oregon. Like, fuck you if she doesn't know what it's like to be an
even if
intense
she
athlete.
Wasn't, the fact that she was still knowledgeable and interested in it without even being an athlete.
Right.
She,
Fair. That's a great point. And so she went out with a bunch of their male friends and was pretty much shunned when she tried talking about it.
Yeah. She said they didn't, she said it was noticeable that when she started talking about Hard Knocks, they had nothing to say. Like they were quiet. It's like they didn't know what to do with themselves when. So my gut was because, and those, I don't think she articulated this exactly, but would you agree that my feeling is they didn't want to engage her because they figured, well, what does she know about football? What does she know about sports? They marginalized her because of her gender. Without 1000%. I think without even realizing it. And that's something men don't know.
That's the point.
You don't live that. You have no idea.
There have been several times in our relationship, I don't think with me, I don't think I do this, where you'll have a reaction to a circumstance or an environmental issue. By the way, I don't mean environmental like the sun, the moon, the earth. I mean, we'll be out someplace and something will occur, or you'll tell me a story and I'll have this look on my face like, I'm not getting this. And you'll go, total asshole misogyny thing to do. He just looked at you instead of me when I was talking to him.
Yes.
And I'll go, oh,
yeah, we
fuck.
had that with some of the contractors that would come to the house, and I would say something or be talking and they would respond, but only to you. They would just look at you in response.
And I totally oblivious to it. Didn't even see it until afterward. You would say to me, I did not like that. And of course and it wasn't me downplaying your emotions? I hope not. It was me going,
I think you listened once I alerted you to what had happened. But I didn't see it for sure. You did not see it. No. Yep. You don't have, your radar is not up for it. You don't live with it. And I have often felt invisible, especially becoming an older woman. And when I do get a chance to work with all women, it is such a different environment for me. I remember when Mackenzie was a newborn and I was breastfeeding, and if I got hired by I actually traveled and worked and brought my baby with me and traveled and worked and always brought somebody to hold her but I was nursing, so I didn't want to leave my baby. It was like, if you want to book me for this job, I come with a baby. And I can't believe how much I worked. And every single time it was a female art director, a female client who said, all right, well, how old is your baby? Oh, 4 months? Oh, easy. Yeah, you can bring your baby. And what a remarkable environment to be in, that these women not only still thought of me for the job, but then supported my desire to continue breastfeeding. And that's something that I never, not one male client considered that.
Well, as you tell that story, don't you think this is the reason why more women should stay at home?
Oh, you're such an ass. You've just been waiting for a moment like that. I wish you were still on your ball and not that new stool, because I would push your ass off the ball and you'd go crashing into your guitars.
I had to do
and then I'd get up dramatically and walk away, and we'd be like, end of podcast.
I had to do one of those.
Whatever.
I had to Scott Galloway one of them. I just want you to know, and I mean this, I don't see it sometimes. When Alex, remember when we were at Cannon Beach in Portland, and we went to that restaurant before our way home, and Alex just lost it with work stuff?
Yeah.
And how, whatever the interactions are specifically. I remember sitting there going, what is she talking about? Right? Because I didn't understand it. I mean, I really didn't. And I try to be really cognizant of how my maleness can affect a dynamic when there's a bunch of different genders, even sexual orientations, right? Because all those dynamics play a role.
No doubt.
And what's interesting is you
to varying
told me,
degrees, you know.
Well, here's where I'm going with the sexual orientation thing. You have to understand, we got in the car and I think you were happy that I felt this way, correct?
Yeah, after the
Okay.
Barbie movie?
Yeah. Sorry, after the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
Okay. So I could not stop talking about it for days, right? Because didn't we go, it was after camping, but we called Alex, we were calling everybody, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you then told me a story that blew me away, because you said, I even had it when I first started doing my real estate, because clients, male clients, like say of a couple was looking to buy a house from you, wanted your founder of who you worked for then at the time, this guy named Jay. Mm-hmm. They wanted him to be there instead. And I went, right? Did I get that?
I to listing appointments when I was meeting people who were interviewing people to sell their house, and I had the opportunity to have the listing. I brought the male owner of the company, because I just knew that with the majority of people, this isn't true all the time, I'm not going to say that, but there were certain sellers that I worked with that wanted male presence there, that just changed the game and somehow, helped give me an edge in winning the listing and winning the business.
So
and
here's what's
that's unfortunate that I even have to think that way.
Yeah, but I think there's a bigger twist to this story that I'm getting at. The irony is that Jay's gay.
Right.
So my brain goes to, a hetero man would rather work with a gay dude than a hetero female, right? Like,
or how about just a competent person, no matter what?
Well, that's what I think is the bad problem. But the fact that you said to me they'd rather have a dude there, even though it's a gay guy, right? Which could be uncomfortable for men.
Well, and also what I would do is I was separated when I got into real estate. I would put a fake ring on, because I didn't want them thinking that I was single. Like, I have to process, is this threatening to anybody? You never told me
that. Because the wives may feel threatened? Or the men may try to hit on you?
Maybe. Yeah. It's
all
what it's the fact I even have to think about that.
That's what I'm getting at.
That I even have to think about that.
So
what kind of crazy.
That's where I'm going. What the movie did for me was it made me process all the shit that you have to process. Like, I know I'm aware of when you go running sometimes that admittedly, I hope this is okay that I'm telling you this, but I'm going, I don't want you running at night. I'll ride my bike with you if you want to go at night. Please tell me where we're going to go. Don't go in the woods, but I'll follow you on that Apple tracker shit just to make sure I know you're okay.
Yeah.
You would never think of doing that with me, and I go on my bike 26 miles.
No, and I would never go in the woods.
But see, that's the thing. I don't think anything of going on a trail by myself in the woods. I don't give a fuck. I don't like when you and I go mountain biking and I leave you when I go ride a trail. Like, you'll stay by the car.
Yes.
Because
and that's a catch-22 for me, because I appreciate you for looking out for me as your partner in life, and being concerned for my welfare as I do for you. But then also it's like, Jack, I got this. It's sometimes I can get a little frustrated and I don't know where to put that energy sometimes. And so I can say, if I fall down, what's the worst that's going to happen to me? But you're afraid of like some bad guy jumping out of the woods.
I'm afraid of some asshole
me.
who sees you sitting by the car by yourself while I'm doing a lap in the woods, right? And suddenly just tries talking to you, grabs your phone, and now what? And then I come out and something's happened, because there's more of a possibility of that than someone doing that to me. Mm-hmm. And so
no doubt.
The point I'm trying to make with all of this is that just like it's doing now, right after the movie, it fostered.
Yeah, fostered conversation.
I should chat GPT this. It generated a conversation between the two of us that really went to the deep end of the pool that I believe is worthy. And I truly felt at that moment when you had stepped away to get popcorn and I slinked down on the chair, whatever the word is. I'm having a really hard time with language right now, or vocab. I remember when I moved down into the chair to hide myself, that truly the experience I had was, fuck, man, this is what it's got to be like to be the only woman in any circumstance, or anyone who's not in the majority.
Right.
And so anyway.
Do you remember the scene where Ken is feeling all bad about himself now, and Barbie tries consoling him as a friend, because she has no romantic interest in Ken whatsoever. Right. But she tries consoling him as a friend and saying, you know what, Ken, you've got whatever her speech was about him having to figure out who he is. And he then tries to make a pass at her. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, no, that's not, I don't want that, please. Mm-hmm. And then she keeps trying to say, you've got it. And he tries it again. He tried like 2 or 3 times to make a pass at her, because he took that friendly support as a sexual a door to a sexual encounter. And that too illustrates much of
that's how we are.
That you're pegs.
Well, to be fair, on our first date, on our first date, within 15 minutes, you put your hand on my chest and went,
That's not true.
You did. You went, you do a lot of push-ups. And so what am I supposed to? You did. You said, can you stand up for a second? Because I noticed your ass.
And then I made you spin around.
Yeah, you said, I noticed your ass when you walked in. You patted it. You went, how many squats do you do? And then I was like, yo, so you want to go hit it? And your response was, how could you possibly get that impression? Do you remember that?
I'm so confused. I don't know why I took those cues.
It is funny that that's where I think men can get really stupid, because a woman, and it's also a power you guys have that I do believe some women abuse, because they know they can do it.
Well, it is a power.
But I'm not, by the way, we're not going down that path. I'm not going to say, you guys got to stop doing it because you're confusing us.
No.
That's not where I'm going. Mm-hmm. I feel after the movie that I want my son Sam to watch it. Mm-hmm. I talked to him about it today. In fact, I'd like Alex and Sam Heilenbach to go watch it.
Yeah.
I'd like any of the other men. So if Steven listens to this podcast still.
Yeah.
Sam's brother.
See Barbie. Don't be ashamed to go see Barbie.
Your Sam and your Mac saw it. Or Mac and Sam saw it.
Did my Sam see it?
No, I'm sorry, not your Sam. Mac's Sam saw it.
Mac and Sam. Yep.
I would like to have an episode. I wish our podcasts, and maybe this is something we can do later, I wish our podcast could have a forum one day where we could be on a stage and have a conversation like this. Like this once a month would be great if we had maybe 4 or 5 or 8 dinner guests with us, so to speak. Right. And there were video cameras around. You know what I'm getting at? Like, I'd love to have that kind of forum where we all sit down and talk about it, because
it's really fascinating conversation. It really is.
the bottom line is it had a profound effect on me. And I know I can joke like I just did earlier about, well, isn't that the reason why you guys should be staying at home and, all that other stuff. And to me, that's funny stuff. And then I realized, man, you guys, that's not funny. And
no,
so I'm trying to
really
balance,
isn't.
Us having a sense of humor and then what crosses a line. The biggest takeaway for me was I can think that I'm all for supporting everybody, races, genders, everything else. The bottom line is I'm never going to experience the world as you do.
Right.
No matter how much I try to participate in supporting you, I'm never going to be fearful of walking in the woods at midnight.
Right.
Because I could probably defend myself.
Right.
Right.
And I don't really expect you to understand it all the time, but the fact that I was so grateful that you had a even greater sensitivity to what women have to go through. And then, quite frankly, you can then have conversations that roll off from there about, we are of a majority. We're not, the minorities. You add on each
Race,
layer
sure.
of
income,
race and income, and oh my gosh, and
we all deserve a place here.
We all deserve a place.
Unless you're
and
an
the
asshole
empathy
like a
to
murderer,
have,
then you don't. But
right, agreed.
I just
hurting other people.
I'm glad we went to see it, and I'm glad you were awake during it, because clearly
I was very awake.
Yeah, clearly
I
you
loved
hadn't
it.
seen this movie, and it changed your perception of the movie. And now to come full circle to where we started, I have no idea how this is a kid's movie, because there were cute things in it, but it was.
I mean, visually it was Barbie, but the message and the
whole movie was message.
The script was very, very adult and not inappropriate,
Nope.
but over their head, like what the messaging was. I could see. I don't know what age would be appropriate to go see it, but
middle school to me, because when girls get their periods around 7th, 8th grade, I think that's a time that a girl would understand some of that. I think I'm not saying they couldn't see it. That's not what I'm getting at.
I don't know if I would associate that to menstruation, but
that was bad probably of me, wasn't it? It's very male.
Yeah, and that just varies for everybody. But
I just feel that middle school is when girls are starting to change, because they develop faster than boys.
Well, and that influence of school and the male-female hierarchy in the school environment starts to really take hold, right?
To me,
our messaging is huge.
That's why I said middle school, because Laura, my sister, used to teach middle school. Sorry for interrupting you. Who used to teach middle school, said that 5th grade is when everything starts to change. So at 10 years old, they come in like cute little adorable 4th graders, and they leave like middle school assholes.
Yeah.
Right. But she didn't mean that in a mean way. It's just like they suddenly start having personalities and cliques form. So maybe that's the time to indoctrinate girls to see this movie so that they realize that they're in power and that men become weak. I think that's the Josh Hawley shit that's been going on out there. But
I think the takeaway is definitely just creating an awareness of an awareness and sensitivity to what women have to go through, and hopefully bringing more honor and respect to women would be lovely. And what do you think about the way the Kens were portrayed in Barbie? How did you feel about that? Did you take any offense at any time?
No, because I first of all, I knew it was a movie. I knew it was a movie that was designed. You could see right away. It's designed to prop up women, not make fun of men. So the fact that Ken played a flake and all this other kind of stuff, and Ryan Gosling was fantastic in the role.
Oh my gosh, he's so good.
The fact that he played that didn't make me go, stop it, men aren't that weak. it to me, it was really a movie about, can we just knock it off? Men are telling us what to do. Like at the very end of the movie, they put up pictures of all the presidents in our country and all the Supreme Court justices in our country. And for the length of our country, it's all fucking dudes. And it started
all white men.
Well, and then it
until
started
Barack Obama.
Well, you had Thurgood Marshall on the Supreme Court. You had Sandra Day O'Connor.
Oh,
they made their way in it, but it certainly wasn't until well into the 1900s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so where I'm going with this is, as anyone that's a non-white male, I look at that, right? And I go, okay, what's the big deal? And then I'm telling you, I'm 57 years old and I'm still having profound effects on things like this. And it made me go, fuck, if you're a woman, you're like, all these men are telling me how to live my life. I couldn't vote. I had to go fight for the right to vote and have a name for myself. And I'm thinking that, and here, ready, full circle again. That's me going, my daughter's going to cheer for men. But thank God I had my mom, right? Who was, I think my mom in some ways is stronger than my dad.
Yeah.
Right. And her mom, my grandmother, was stronger. Like, fuck that. Women are just
women are fierce.
And my uncles, which were big influencers on me, always treated women with respect. Now, if my mom listens to us, she may go, well, some of your uncles can be assholes sometimes or whatever. But I think by and large, my grandmother held court with her sons. And you open doors for people and all these other kinds of things. And by the way, I know we're getting long in this, but it had a profound effect on me, and I'm trying to be better. And I would like more men to see this, but try to see it as what she was presenting it as, okay? In the way in which she was presenting it. Please pay attention to our lives, because you guys don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
And so to me, the juxtaposition of Barbie land, where Barbie's in control and everything's perfect, to suddenly she walks down a street and she doesn't feel comfortable, and it's broad daylight because everyone's looking at her. That's it. That's the whole movie right there.
Yeah.
If we don't get that as men, if we don't appreciate that as men, then quite frankly, we're weak. Right? Then we're just insecure children. So anyway, done with that.
And that's a little bit how Ken was portrayed before he was enlightened.
But I don't want to ruin the ending if you haven't seen it, but the ending actually kind of, it comes together well. Yeah. Right?
It's a really great movie. I suggest everybody sees it. And
profound movie.
Not only was it a great movie, but the writer director is female as well. I think she co-wrote it with her partner, male partner. But just that alone, that
most successful woman director, writer as a result of this movie.
It's just
good
massive. So
cool shit.
So kudos. And really, if anybody wants to, I think we've shared our email. This appears, our video appears on YouTube.
I'd love to have comments.
You can leave comments, and if anybody has their own experience with,
you can leave them on Spotify too.
Yeah,
there's a place for it. You got to scroll up. So if you listen to it, scroll up, and you'll see there's polls or questions, and I always have one. Yeah, it's just that the layout is so awkward that you just listen to it, you don't realize there's more below.
Right.
Or email us at Jack and Cathy shitshow@gmail.com. Yeah. You can even leave a voice message on that and we'll get it.
Yeah, that would be great. I would love
your comments.
I would love stories, comments, anything. And I don't care if you listen to this podcast a year from now and you still have a comment. I think it's all relevant, and I find it truly awesome to have this conversation. So thanks,
so
babe.
let's pivot really quick, because we're getting long in the tooth, but the point was made, and I really appreciate you, and I will try to get better at not being a misogynistic dick, as long as you can do the dishes like you should.
Hey babe, if you were a total misogynistic,
did you hear what I
said? I did. I'm just ignoring that because you won't know the difference. And
that was great.
What?
Oh,
did I say
my
something?
God, that was so good. I'm not even gonna follow it up. I'm quite impressed with you, because I won't know the difference. Thank you for calling me a dumb male. I'm going to see if I can get the knuckles scrapes off the ground.
I was going to say, I wouldn't even be with you if you were a misogynistic male. I wouldn't. That's not attractive to me.
But what if I was really handsome?
And really rich?
And really
I'm
rich.
in then.
Okay.
No, just kidding.
Exactly.
All
Okay.
right, so we're going to pivot. And normally, if to our regular listeners, they're familiar that we often close it out with a question from the Gottmans, a card deck. And originally we used Paired, another card deck. And even Aaron gave us a card deck, which was Naughty card deck.
We did a whole episode from Aaron.
We did. That was awesome.
Great.
But I have been on social media, probably way too much, on TikTok, and came across, if anybody has checked it out, it's called Skin Deep. If you go to the Skin Deep, it's really fascinating. It's two people sitting across from each other. It could be a couple, could be a mother-daughter, a father-daughter, a father-son, whatever the combo, maybe siblings. And they ask each other really intimate questions. And I loved the direction of the questions. So I went online and surprised Jack with this concept, but I bought their cards. I just thought it was cool. And we might do a number of different things with these cards.
We talked about maybe doing an episode ourselves. And when we got the cards, the instructions say, sit across from one another,
Yes.
right? There's a lot of ways that emulate the TikTok videos.
Yeah.
And so we talked about having maybe a whole episode where we pull the camera back a little bit, face one another, and actually do a Skin Deep episode ourselves.
Yes.
And really talk about stuff that and not talk about what the questions are at all. Surprise one another. So anyway, I applaud you for doing this. I also want to say something before we end. I really appreciate that you took over this podcast and talk so much, because I tend to bogart conversations.
No, baby, you don't talk too much.
Stop it.
Don't.
Stop it. Don't put those dishwater hands on my face. I use Dove. So anyway, I applaud you for all this, and I'm excited about doing the and. So if you want to dive in, let's do a question real quick.
The and. So we'll just do one just for experiment. We haven't read all these by
Yeah,
any means.
throw one out there. I know we're not doing it as we're
Pick one.
supposed to do it, right? Okay, I don't have my glasses. Can you see that?
Yep. What's the most difficult lesson you've learned from being with me?
Oh.
I know.
Do you want us to both answer that question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you go first?
What's the most difficult lesson you've learned from being with me? Well, that's okay. So if you want me to answer this is you asking me, right?
Yeah, so I'll ask you. What's the most difficult lesson you've learned from being with me?
So
These are good questions.
I know. That's why I bought them. So I really have been learning a ton in our two years and change together. I don't think I've ever had a relationship that compares to this. So there is a lot of new territory. So it's not surprising that I'm learning a ton. And at 57 years old, soon to be 58, it's just shocking. You never, hopefully you never stop growing and changing. But what I've learned about myself, and we went through this recently, is that sometimes I am not a great listener. And sometimes I am very reactionary. So if Jack might express to me something that he's feeling or a problem with a situation, I take it and I say, well, what do you mean? I didn't do that, or I didn't. And suddenly the conversation becomes about me and my feelings. And I've started to recognize that I just have to put those aside, because I will always have feelings on it, right? But it's about recognizing that expressing those feelings in moments where you are trying to be heard is not helping, certainly not supporting you and not helping us. So that's probably a biggie. And we kind of just went through that last week. So yeah. All right, your turn. Do you want the same card or you want a different one?
Can we do a different one?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right. So
now
I'll grab the deck and you pick it.
Okay.
All right. Is that cool?
And there's a lot of cards in this
I
deck.
really like this.
one
And
deck.
I actually, now that I'm reading these are deep questions.
Yeah, they're really
I really
deep.
would like to sit across from you and do an episode where it's just
Yeah,
that.
I think so.
Just
and
that.
So by the way, this box is for couples.
Okay.
There's another box that's for long-term couples.
Okay.
That doesn't apply to us, but it would still be interesting.
Okay.
And then another box that is called the Healing Edition.
Okay.
And then there's, I don't know, there's like 4 other
Other ones?
boxes of themed. All right, so
Do you have a card?
this one. Of course, I have to. All right.
Okay.
If you could change one thing about me to improve our relationship, what would that be?
You've got to be kidding me. That's not fair.
Do you just have to say ditto to what Kathy just said?
Yeah. If I could change one thing about you to improve our relationship, I know that I can be a force. And when I get rolling, with whatever it is, if let's say we're talking about Barbie, blah, 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 blah. I think I said to you, I can go into a toxic environment of over-explaining.
Why are you talking about yourself right now?
Because I'm going to answer it.
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
answer
All
it.
right. I don't want you. Okay, go ahead.
And so I know that can be overwhelming sometimes. And so if there was one thing that I'd like you to improve, it's your ability to take yourself out of the situation and not take it personally. That's really it. All those other things you talked about, like listening and blah, blah, blah. I think the biggest thing is for you to be able to say, this isn't about me.
That's hard. That's hard when the words sound like they're about me. When there's you did this or you didn't do that.
I don't do that. I say, I feel this way when these things happen. See? It's can you pull yourself out of a situation?
I think I have to continue to work on that. I think that I don't know if I'm supposed to be answering necessarily, so we
if
can
you
stop
watch,
there.
I remember what it looks like. It's just the person talking about it.
Yeah, it's just the person talking. Yeah, it's not supposed to be.
Do you
banter
like
back and
this?
forth. I really love it, actually.
I actually want to do it now, like after we hang up.
All right, next one. Next episode.
Let's do the whole episode.
Yeah.
Just asking these questions of ourselves.
Okay.
And let's see if we can do more homework to find out that we're doing it, at least in the theme.
Yeah,
how they want us
definitely.
To do it, or the spirit.
All right, so
that's
it.
You rock.
That was good.
That was a long podcast.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Last time I looked, it was only 35 minutes.
Yeah,
now it's up to 52.
Now let's go back to our roles. I'm going to go outside and cut the lawn, have a cigar and some scotch,
And
you're
I'm
going to
gonna
cook
bake bread.
dinner. And you're going to bake bread.
Yeah. And take care of the kids. Wait.
Yes.
No, we don't have that.
Well, you're going to go tend to the fields, and I'll tend to the fields rather. But when
That's
I come in,
right.
I hope there's porridge waiting for me.
Right. And when would
Is
you
it
like
porridge?
sex?
Whenever I call for it.
Whatever. Peace.
Jack and Cathy Shit Show outro take 652.
Start off laughing. You just listened to another episode of the Jack and Cathy Shit Show.
Our senior producers are me.
Hey, and me.
This episode was produced, engineered, and mixed by
the amazing Key Honar.
Email your questions, comments, or interesting relationship stories to jackandcathyshitshow@gmail.com. That is Cathy with a C.
Be sure to follow and like our marvelous shit show on Instagram and TikTok at Jack and Cathy Shit Show. Apparently liking and following is a thing.
It is?
Yeah.
This episode was produced by Pint Productions 2022. Point!